Welcome to the Data Standards Body YouTube channel. I'm Neale Morison. I'm a technical writer with the DSB. Participants have raised a number of issues related to non-functional requirements, or NFRs, and in particular to the GetMetrics API. Many issues focus on the changes between GetMetrics versions 3, 4 and 5, and the details of abandonment by stages logging in version 5. In response to that, the DSB has created several articles in the CDS Guide. This video summarizes the following articles: Guidance on Metrics, Guidance on GetMetrics v3, v4 and v5, GetMetrics v5, Abandonment by Stages. While we hope this summary proves helpful, the DSB recommends reading the articles in detail. For general information on NFRs, see CDS Non-Functional Requirements, CDS Guide Non-Functional Requirements, and the Non-Functional Requirements video. Data holders, DHs, are required to maintain a GetMetrics API. The CDR regulator, the ACCC, calls this API to obtain metrics data gathered by the DH. The GetMetrics API is described in the CDS Admin APIs section. The response to a GetMetrics call is a response metrics list object. This schema is at version 5 in December 2023, response metrics list v5. The response metrics list is a collection that includes specific metrics objects. Availability metrics v2, performance metrics v3, invocation metrics v3, average response metrics v2, session count metrics v2, average TPS metrics v2, peak TPS metrics v2, error metrics v2, rejection metrics v3, secondary holder metrics v2, authorization metrics v2. These versions may change with later versions of the consumer data standards. Participant issues have centered on the correct interpretation of the fields and objects within these structures. Familiarity with these structures is essential to understanding the GetMetrics issues discussed here. The CDS Guide article, Guidance on Metrics, is a collection of subject matter expert responses to participant questions. Some samples are provided here. See the CDS Guide article for a growing list of answers to metrics questions. For average TPS and peak TPS, the DSB recommends aggregating over no more than a minute. The TPS requirements give an upper threshold, beyond which data holders do not have to develop infrastructure capability. A DH does not have to support up to this threshold. The DH needs only to develop infrastructure adequate for their customer base. The session count field counts the number of times an access token has been provided. In GetMetrics v4, site-wide TPS is reported in separate categories for authenticated and unauthenticated endpoints. Unauthenticated endpoints include the PID, status, and outage APIs. For calls to these APIs, the client is not known or authenticated. The CDS Guide article Guidance on GetMetrics v3, v4 and v5 describes the changes between the last few versions of GetMetrics. For example, GetMetrics v4 introduces separate TPS reporting for authenticated and unauthenticated endpoints. GetMetrics v4 also introduces abandoned consent flow reporting in authorization metrics. GetMetrics v5 introduces abandonments by stage in abandoned consent flow reporting. The CDS Guide article GetMetrics v5 Abandonment by Stages clarifies the authorization metrics field, abandonments by stage. Where a consumer abandons or rejects a consent flow at a particular stage, the authorization metrics v2 schema captures the exit by incrementing two counts: the overall abandoned consent flow count, the count for the stage at which the consumer exits. For each exit, only the count for that stage and the abandoned consent flow count are incremented. Counts for stages other than the exit stage are not incremented. With successive versions of GetMetrics, reporting has become more detailed and granular. The CDS Guide GetMetrics articles seek to clarify these changes. Thank you for participating in the Consumer Data Standards.